Hello, how are you? Today I brought you the 5 best teas to help you in your weight loss journey. Many people who want to lose weight start drinking teas, mixing herbs and plants, sometimes just making things up or using recipes they find on the internet. But this can cause problems in some cases. Sometimes the plants don't go well together, and sometimes the taste makes it hard for you to keep drinking it in the long run. And there are people who even end up adding sugar just to tolerate the taste, which is sometimes more bitter or harder to handle, and then it all ends up being for nothing. So today I've picked out 5 wonderful tea combinations for you, and each one will help you with weight loss in a different way. Whether it's with your metabolism, bloating, liver, and much more, I'm sure you're going to love it. And best of all, these are ingredients you either already have at home or are super easy to find at any supermarket. Stick around until the end because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you, would you like to lose weight? If so, how much? I'd love to see your comment. Tell me if you've already been on this journey for a while and how your progress has been so far. I'd love to see your comment. If you can, go ahead and leave a like on the video. That's super important for me here on the channel. It shows YouTube that you support and trust my content. And if you know someone who's trying to lose weight or likes to drink tea, share this video, okay? You might end up helping even more people too. So let me tell you, I brought 5 different tea strategies here. My first recipe is for a tea to help boost your metabolism. If you feel like your body is slower, you get tired easily, it seems like you burn little energy, the goal here isn't to force your body, but to stimulate your metabolism to work better. So, the ideal combination can be green tea, ginger, and cinnamon. Green tea has 2 important substances, caffeine and catechins. Caffeine stimulates the nervous system. This makes the body more alert and slightly increases energy expenditure. Catechins, such as EGCG for example, help the body use more fat as fuel. In other words, it's not just about speeding things up, it's about improving the way our body uses fat. Ginger, on the other hand, another component of our tea, slightly activates thermogenesis, which is the production of heat by our body. And every time the body produces more heat, it uses more energy. In addition, ginger also improves digestion, which makes it easier for the body to absorb nutrients. As for cinnamon, it plays a very important role in helping to stabilize blood glucose levels. When glucose spikes too quickly, as we know, right? The body tends to store more energy in the form of fat. On the other hand, when it remains more stable, the body functions in a more balanced way. So this tea helps not by forcing your metabolism in an aggressive way. It activates the body with this interesting stimulus, improves the use of fat as energy, and prevents sugar spikes that could interfere with this process. So, to prepare this tea, you'll need 1 cup of very hot water, just about to reach a boil, 1 teaspoon of green tea, a small piece of ginger, either grated or in powdered form, and cinnamon powder in a similar amount, about half a teaspoon. And you mix everything together and let it steep for 5 to 10 minutes. Just remember that if you were using fresh ginger and cinnamon sticks, you would need to boil them on the stove first. Then, after removing the mixture from the heat, you'd add the green tea and strain it afterward, okay? The best time to drink it is in the morning or early afternoon because it's a tea that contains caffeine, it stimulates the body more, helps with energy, but if you drink it too late, it can also interfere with your sleep. Now here's a warning, like with any tea, there can be contraindications. So if you are sensitive to caffeine, have very high or uncontrolled blood pressure, or have trouble sleeping, it's best to use it in moderation. In fact, this is a warning for everything. If you have any pre-existing health problems, take any medication, or are unsure whether you should drink these teas, talk to your doctor or your nutritionist first. Remember, this video is for informational purposes only. The second wonderful tea that can help you control your blood sugar, which is one of the most important factors for us to lose weight, especially after 50 or 60 years old, because there's a hormone here that practically decides whether the body burns fat or not, which is insulin. What happens in our body? Every time we eat carbs, our blood sugar rises and the body responds by releasing insulin. And the function of insulin is quite simple, to remove sugar from the blood and take it into the cells. The problem starts when this happens very quickly and glucose rises a lot and insulin follows, it also rises a lot. At that moment, instead of burning fat, the body enters an anabolic state of energy storage and reduces fat burning. They are counter-regulators, right? We can't activate both metabolisms at the same time. So this favors fat accumulation. And besides that, after the glucose spike, it can drop quickly because of the excess insulin. And it's this drop that can later cause hunger, cravings for sweets, that feeling of, I need to eat again. So managing your glucose, even if you don't have diabetes or prediabetes, really does help with the weight loss process. For this tea, I thought of a really nice combination of hibiscus with cinnamon and chamomile. Hibiscus because it's very rich in polyphenols, and these compounds help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, which are 2 factors that worsen insulin resistance. Because we know that when our body is inflamed, the cells respond worse to insulin, they become less sensitive. And it's as if insulin knocks on the cell's door and the cell takes a long time to open, right? It can't do its job properly, and that glucose stays circulating in the plasma for longer. With hibiscus, this response can improve in a complementary way. This means that the body ends up needing less insulin to get the sugar into the cells. Now, cinnamon, when we talk about blood sugar, we always think of cinnamon, and it also acts in the digestion process. When we eat, carbohydrates are broken down, they become glucose. Cinnamon helps slow down this process of burning, actually breaking down carbohydrates, so the sugar enters the bloodstream more slowly. That's already an interesting point. And in addition, we know that cinnamon also helps with the uptake of glucose by the cells, meaning it helps the body use glucose better and can also help prevent insulin resistance in a complementary way. So it all makes perfect sense here. Chamomile has a more indirect effect, but a very interesting one. It helps reduce mild inflammation, aiding in the relaxation of the nervous system. And there's another very interesting point because poor sleep can harm insulin resistance. When you sleep poorly, cortisol rises and the body becomes more resistant to the action of insulin, and glucose tends to be higher the next day. Chamomile improves sleep, can help with lowering cortisol levels at night, improves the quality of sleep, enhances glucose control, and also helps with insulin regulation. Plus, it contains many antioxidant compounds, which benefit our health in a broader sense. To prepare this tea, use 1 cup of boiling water, 1 teaspoon of hibiscus, 1 teaspoon of chamomile, and half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And it's the same process, right? If the cinnamon is in stick form, you need to bring it to a boil, same as before. The best time for us to drink it is after main meals, lunch, or dinner, because this helps reduce the glycemic spike after eating or at night. But be careful with the timing at night, because nighttime doesn't mean right before you go to sleep. When we drink tea and go to sleep right afterwards, we might wake up more often during the night to urinate, and that's not what we want. So if you're thinking about drinking it, really do it immediately after dinner, always remembering to leave some time between dinner and when you go to sleep, right? At least 2 to 3 hours is a good option. The third tea I prepared here for you is a tea that will help you control your appetite. One of the most important strategies, and many people don't think about doing this when trying to lose weight, is that many people don't eat because they're hungry, right? They eat out of a desire to eat, that craving, so to speak. And most of the time, as I told you, it's not a lack of food, it's a lack of the feeling of satiety. The body forgets how to have the stimulus. So for this tea, I thought about using hibiscus again, which is delicious, yerba mate, which is very interesting, and then adding psyllium to this tea. So what happens is very interesting. Let's start with psyllium. Even though it's added last, it's what will have the greatest effect on our satiety. We know this. It is a soluble fiber, so when it comes into contact with liquid, it forms a gel in our stomach. This gel is a mucilage, so it's a gel with a high volume, and this high volume causes it to expand your stomach and send an early satiety signal to your brain. This satiety happens at that moment, but also afterwards, meaning you stay with it in your stomach for more hours and it takes longer to be digested. This also helps with blood sugar control, which I mentioned to you earlier. So that's a point for psyllium in this regard as well. But since it takes longer to move from the stomach to the intestine, this feeling of satiety lasts longer. So it's really a physical, mechanical effect that helps a lot in this process. Yerba mate is a tea that people often forget to include in their daily routine, unless you're from a region where it's a common habit. In some places, people prefer to drink mate tea chilled. But it is very interesting because it contains stimulating compounds like caffeine, but it also has other bioactive compounds that help control appetite. Studies show that it can slow down gastric emptying, which helps with satiety, increase fat oxidation, and modulate satiety signals in our brain. In other words, while psyllium acts in your stomach, mate works on the central nervous system and helps your body better recognize that it's already been fed. And hibiscus comes in as that base, as I mentioned before, which helps improve antioxidant levels, helps improve insulin resistance, and also enhances the flavor, right? There are these interesting bioactive, nutraceutical compounds, really, that help in the process of satiety and weight control. So to make it, for 1 cup of boiling water, add 1 teaspoon of hibiscus, 1 teaspoon of yerba mate, make this tea, this infusion, let it steep for 10 to 15 minutes, then strain it. And then, after that, you add 1 teaspoon of psyllium, mix it well, and drink it. Patricia, but I can't take psyllium like that in a hot liquid because it takes too long. So you can wait for the tea to cool down, at least to room temperature, and then add the psyllium to make it easier for you to swallow it more quickly, right? Because we know that psyllium is funny, it absorbs the liquid and it might get too thick for you to drink. If it's too hot, it takes you a long time to actually be able to drink it. So you can wait for the tea to cool down or put an ice cube in to speed up the process and then add the psyllium. The best time to take it is 20 to 30 minutes before your main meals or during that period when you usually feel hungrier, because psyllium will expand, distend your stomach, and already take up some space so you end up eating less food. So this ends up reducing your total calorie intake and makes it easier for you to maintain a calorie deficit. An important point is that psyllium is a powerful fiber, so when we add psyllium to our daily routine, we have to drink water. If we add psyllium and don't drink water, we can block digestion and the process of eliminating stool because it will become dry. So, you need to hydrate it by drinking plenty of water throughout the day. The fourth strategy is a tea that helps with bloating and fluid retention. If you're someone who feels heavy with a bloated body, notices that your weight fluctuates a lot from one day to the next, wakes up with a puffy face, or if your legs are very swollen by the end of the day, right? We feel this throughout the day. Many times this isn't necessarily fat, it's fluid retention, and this really changes your appearance, affects your self-esteem, and even your motivation to continue with your weight loss journey. So the idea here is to try to eliminate the excess fluid from the body, and good teas for this are hibiscus, green tea, and horsetail, which is extremely powerful. Our body ends up maintaining a constant balance of fluids on a daily basis, right? But this balance can even be altered by various factors. Excess sodium, table salt, or foods that are industrially rich in sodium, hormonal changes, inflammation, low water intake, and even a sedentary lifestyle. So when this happens, the body starts to retain more fluid in the tissues, and that's what causes swelling, a feeling of increased heaviness, and rapid weight fluctuations on the scale. One day it's much higher, another day it's much lower. So tea can help you in this regard because horsetail especially is a natural diuretic. It stimulates the kidneys to eliminate more fluid and more sodium through urine and helps the body get rid of the excess that has accumulated. Hibiscus also contributes to this process because it has an interesting diuretic effect, helps with fluid balance, and in addition to that, it contains those antioxidant compounds I mentioned to you, which are quite beneficial. It also helps with glucose control because we know that when we prevent insulin spikes, we also prevent excessive fluid retention in our bodies. And green tea helps with circulation, has a stimulating effect, helps keep the body active, stimulates metabolism, which is beneficial for metabolic processes, and all the extra fluid we consume is also worth mentioning. It helps us urinate more throughout the day. The more water we drink, the more water our body eliminates, to put it simply so we can understand. So ideally, you should make this tea in a large quantity. You can prepare a basic version, right, with 1 cup of water and add 1 teaspoon of each of the herbs, hibiscus, green tea, and horsetail. Now, a tip I can give you is that you can increase its volume, as I mentioned, so you can drink more water throughout the day, especially since some people have trouble staying hydrated and sometimes get bloated because of it. So, this little tea can be a good option for you to have as a kind of flavored water to drink. Hibiscus will give it a nice flavor, green tea will be very refreshing with more water, and horsetail has a very neutral taste, so it can be a good and interesting option. The best time to drink it is during the day, in the morning or early afternoon, because it's a diuretic tea and will stimulate urination. So imagine if you drink it before bed. You'll wake up a lot during the night to pee, to urinate. So ideally, you should drink it only until the early afternoon. So stay hydrated throughout the day because this tea will stimulate urination, so you need to drink plenty of fluids. And if you take any medication to lower your blood pressure or have any cardiovascular problems, once again, be careful. Talk to your doctor or your nutritionist first. My last tea suggestion is a tea to help support liver health, and many people don't talk about this, but when the liver isn't working well, we know that the whole metabolism ends up suffering, right? The liver is responsible for several functions at the same time: processing fat, regulating blood glucose, metabolizing alcohol and medications, and producing substances that are important for digestion like our enzymes and so on. So when the liver becomes overloaded, especially with excess fat, a few things can happen. Metabolism can slow down, fat burning decreases, digestion becomes less efficient, and the body handles energy issues worse, right? So a wonderful tea for the liver, write this down, is milk thistle, dandelion, and mint. Milk thistle is one of the most studied plants when it comes to the liver. It contains silymarin, a compound that helps protect liver cells and reduce oxidative stress in our liver. This helps the liver function better, especially in situations of overload. Dandelion works in a different way because it stimulates the production and flow of bile, which is essential for fat digestion. When this process improves, digestion becomes more efficient, the body handles food better, and it takes some of the stress off the liver. And mint comes in as digestive support, right? It helps relax the gastrointestinal tract, improves the digestive process, reduces discomfort, bloating, and that heavy feeling after meals. So as a complement, it can also provide interesting support for our liver. So to prepare it, ideally you should use 1 cup of boiling water, 1 teaspoon of milk thistle, 1 teaspoon of dandelion, and a few mint leaves. Let it steep for 5 to 10 minutes and then drink it. It's worth emphasizing that if you have gallbladder problems, take medication, or have liver issues, talk to your doctor or nutritionist first, okay? Here are some key recommendations regarding teas. First, never sweeten them. There's no point in thinking about losing weight, like I said at the beginning of the video, drinking a tea that's hard to swallow and then adding sugar. I can't do it. I'm going to add sugar. It's pointless. It's better not to drink the tea at all if you're going to add sugar. If it's absolutely essential for you, you can add a few drops of stevia or another non-caloric sweetener. Remember, I have a video here talking about the best and worst sweeteners, right? I'll leave it down below in the description for you. It's also a good idea to remember to cover the tea while it's steeping. This prevents the essential oils and volatile compounds from the plants from escaping with the steam, so we keep everything in and the tea becomes more potent and concentrated. And ideally, we should remember that tea works as a complement. But there's no point in drinking a tea like this during the day if you eat really poorly, don't exercise, drink a lot of alcohol, smoke, sleep badly, and have an unbalanced, ultra-processed diet, and so on. So tea helps you in a complementary way, but you have to help the tea help you, like I said before, right? Otherwise, it's pointless. We just end up wasting time and getting frustrated. So the weight loss process doesn't have to be hard, but it does have to be consistent. That's the most important thing for us to remember. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, always talk to your doctors, nutritionists, and other professionals in your city to get personal guidance, okay? Teas for pregnant women can have a different effect. Tell me down below which of these teas you like the most and which one you're going to start drinking, or if you're going to rotate them one each day. I would love to see your comment. Go ahead and like the video to help me out, and share it with anyone who would enjoy it or who needs it. Let's help spread this chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.